the mainstream media is done. They are done. That we, the Daily Wire, people like us, Joe Rogan, new media, have trumped them because they were lying. See, they think it's because, we just kind of popped up. No, they were bad. They were doing wickedness. They were doing evil. They were selling this uniparty idea that the government was supposed to take care of everything and we weren't supposed to object when they raided our houses, when they threatened us with the law, when they abused the law, when they abused the tax code as they did under Obama. I mean, this stuff was all supposed to be A-okay. You could go on Fox News and kind of shake your fist, but nobody did anything about it. And it was obvious. And then to prosecute Donald Trump because he said the election was stolen, he thought the election was stolen, to prosecute him for that, unbelievable. So because this is a cultural victory, it's really important that conservatives who are not good about the culture understand how to cement the cultural victory, how to fight back against it. And I say it's a cultural victory because they poured everything on this guy to make him toxic. And everybody was like, yeah, I saw him on Joe Rogan. He was a nice guy. He's a good guy. I like him, Even people who didn't like him before are going over his side on the right. They could hear different things, I swear, people, every time I hear somebody say, well, Elon Musk has ruined X by letting everybody speak, I'm like, are you out of your mind? Elon Musk has helped save this country. It is unbelievably great what he's done. And are some of the people on X people that I don't like and who attack me for horrible and say ugly things? That's free speech. That's the way it goes. I'm a big boy. I can take it. If you're not, stay off X. Elon isn't coming to your house and saying, you've got to go on X. You're there. It's because you want to see what's going on. So I just want to key you into a couple of things that you should watch out for, because remember that it's a uniparty, and it's not always the people who we think are our enemies are falling into the cultural traps that have made it so difficult for our voices to be heard. Pay attention during this transition to the use of two words. One is loyalists and one is retribution, okay? Trump is stocking his cabinet with loyalists because all the other presidents always stock their cabinet with enemies, people who would attack them and get in the way. Now, I told you this before. That I just mentioned that, before he in fact did have his cabinet stocked with enemies supplied by the GOP who wanted to destroy him. They didn't want to end their party, their useless rhino party. They didn't want that to end. So they stocked his administration with people who got in his way. And people were writing in the New York Times, I'm in the deep state. I'm publishing this anonymously, but I'm getting in his way. And the New York Times was publishing books of how wonderful it is to have a deep state that saves democracy by being unelected and stopping the person we elected from doing anything. Good way to save democracy. So when they say he's hiring loyalists, he's appointing loyalists, there's some truth to it, but it's a lie. If I got sued, if I was in a lawsuit with a gizmo company, right, making up a story, if I'm in a lawsuit with a gizmo company and I go out to hire the best gizmo lawyers in the country, and I say, here they are, the experts in gizmos, and the law firm is called Lowenthal, Cohen, and Schwartz, right? And my opponents who are anti-Semites say, he's surrounding himself with Jews. Well, it's true that people in that law firm are Jews, but that's not why I'm hiring them. I'm hiring them because they're experts in gizmos. That's what's happening. He is hiring people who want to follow the one thing he has to do, which is to rip root and branch this incredible cancer of a government out of its hold on American liberty. That is what they're all there to do. Elon Musk, I'm sure, has a very different attitude than Trump. RFK has a different attitude than Elon Musk. These are people who are Democrats, who are independents. They're all from all over the place, but they all believe one thing. This government, this deep state has to be destroyed before it metastasizes and destroys everything. So the other thing is retribution. I'm against retribution, right? If you get divorced, if you're in an ugly divorce, you don't want to pay back your wife. You want to find a new wife who's better, or your husband. You want to find a new spouse who is better. You don't want retribution, but you might want justice. If your old spouse burned down your house, well, prosecuting him or her for arson is not a bad thing. So justice is a good thing. And when they start saying he's out for retribution because he wants to gut the DOJ because the DOJ persecuted him, Well, the DOJ persecuted him by way of persecuting us. We're the ones who elected him, and they persecuted him because they wanted to shut us up. They wanted to terrorize us. He's right. Donald Trump was always right when he said, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. I've always agreed with that. And so he's not looking, when he sends Matt Gaetz into the Department of Justice, he's not looking for retribution. He's looking for justice. He's looking to take out the corruption. And so they say those words, and a lot of times you hear people on the right say them, this is, Donald Trump back with a vengeance is the cover of the New Yorker. But a lot of times you hear right-wingers using these words because right-wingers are stupid about the culture. We should not use those words. He is looking to clean up a corrupt Department of Justice. Merrick Garland is corrupt, and he needs to be thrown out. And look, I don't care whether these guys go to jail or not. I do care that they are gone, and it is put down on paper that these guys were the bad guys. It's not retribution. That is not retribution. That's justice. Picking on people who insulted you or got in your way, that's retribution. That's revenge. We don't need it. We want to move forward. But justice is a totally, totally different thing. He has his agenda is to cut things down to size, and that's why he's gathered these people. So each one of these guys is causing people's heads to explode. Pete Hegseth, a combat veteran, a very smart guy, by the way, and he was a Fox commentator, so that's what the left is saying. He's just a Fox commentator. But, he's now nominated for Secretary of Defense. The New York Times, a former newspaper, says the choice of the Fox News host and veteran was outside the norm. Well, goodness gracious, the one thing we don't want to do when our government is rotten to the core and is strangling our freedoms and is destroying our Constitution, which they hold in disrepute, which they hold in disdain. The one thing we do not want to do is go outside the norm. Ooh, no, I don't want to do that. So this is what he wants to do as SecDef.
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. Obviously you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve.
Right, as opposed to those ads that say you can join the army even if you're transgender because, I'm sorry, but China is looking at that and going, oh, good, it's almost time to go to Taiwan. You got to be scary. And to that point, to the point of an army that's scary and murderous and ready to kill, this is what he said about women in combat, cut 2.
Because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. We've all served with women, and they're great. Mm-hmm. Our institutions don't have to incentivize that in places where not traditionally, over human history, men in those positions are more capable.
Right. So he's talking about something very specific, but that's not the way it's going to be played. And this is another thing we have to watch out for. Anything taken out of context has to be put back into context. This is the way you win a culture fight. You do not let them gain any ground. You have to gain ground yourself. We have to take ground. We have to take new ground all the time, but you can't let them come creeping back by using words like, loyalists and retribution and by taking things out of context. So here's Andrea Mitchell talking to Senator Chris Van Hollen, putting what he said out of context, talking about what Hegseth said out of context. Cut 3.
The choice of Fox News host and military veteran Pete Hegseth as the defense secretary. He has denounced diversity, equity, and inclusion. He disagrees with women in combat. I don't know what he would say to Senator Duckworth, and all the other women pilots, some of whom, like Senator Duckworth, were grievously wounded in combat. But women have been a key part of piloting these fighter jets. And this goes back, more than a decade. So,
as you say,
this would not be for you to vote on until it would get to the floor if it gets out of committee.
Yeah, a very troubling history of statements like that.
So the senator chimes right in, but here's what Hegseth really said. He said about female pilots, give me a female pilot all day long. I have no issues with that. What he was talking about when he was talking about combat roles is the kind of roles that where you're set man to man against somebody like the special forces, where this is his quote, where strength is a differentiator. That is what he said. Okay, so they're taking all they lie. They do this to Trump every single day. Anything he says that can be taken in the worst possible way. They take everything he said. We have to keep on this all the time. And Hegseth is right about this, right? We're not trying to have women fill men's roles. We want less filling, more killing. We want the army is there to kill people and break things, as they say, and that's what we want them to do. Here's Tulsi Gabbard, who has been nominated as Director of National Intelligence. She puts the whole thing in context. It's excellent. Cut 7.
When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots. He has not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter, nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers, made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military-industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war. It is those in the administrative state, in the national security state, who derive more authorities and ability to take away our liberty when we are in a heightened state of crisis.
See, this is so important, and it's something almost nobody is talking about, right or left. We make the joke that Joe Biden is not the president. It's so clearly true, right? The guy's not competent to do the work of the presidency, and you never see him anymore doing the work of the presidency. And that opens the question, who is? And she's right. It's the Blob. It's this kind of absolutely amorphous, unelected group of people who think that they should control the government. And we know from when Trump was in power that they literally think that they should control the government. And that the bureaucrats always sit around and say, we'll be here when the president is gone. What we think matters more than the president. They need to be torn out root and branch in every department. Finally, I just have to mention my favorite appointment is the former ICE director, Tom Homan, who is going to be in charge of getting some of these illegals out of our country. This to me, they're just waiting for the first picture of a child being torn away from his mother. And I think the thing is, I think Trump and Homan are both way, way smarter than that. They're going to go after the criminals, they're going to go after the terrorists, and then they're going to do the thing that really has to be done, which is going to be to penalize the companies that are paying people who shouldn't be here. Once those jobs dry up, people will self-deport. Also, if they get caught drunken driving, they're going to be sent home. Whatever they get caught at doing, they're going to get nervous. It's going to be really unhappy. You don't have a job. Anytime you make a mistake, the police are going to get you, and it's going to double down on your punishment. They'll leave. They can do all this. And I like Tom Homan said this, is cut 8.
So there's the secret. That's why Tom Homan's pissed off. Because we had this locked down. And I tell you what, Washington Post can do all the stories they wanted me about. Tom Homan's deport people is really good at it. They ain't seen yet. Wait till 2025. I apologize, but I probably shouldn't say the S word. My wife tells me stop saying it, and
So he can, as far as I'm concerned, he can say anything he wants as long as he gets those people out of the country. This is the thing. Again, context. All the tears. Oh, the poor, migrants. Oh, the sad this. Oh, the breaking up families. By what right? By what right does Joe Biden disobey our laws? By what right? They keep saying they can prosecute Trump because no one's above the law. Why isn't it Joe Biden's legal responsibility to secure the border? It is. And it's just absolutely true that he opened it up. He got rid of all the things that Trump had put in place. That's what Homan was saying, why he's so ticked off. He's ticked off because they took the things that they did, the stay in Mexico, all the different tactics they used to cut down on illegal entry, and they took them all away, and they just opened the border. By what right? All of these picks, all the pro-Israel people, Elise Stefanik for the UN, that's great. Mike Huckabee, lovely, lovely guy. Mike Huckabee, really good guy, very, very smart. He's going to be Israeli ambassador. I wanted King David because of his killing all the Philistines. For more great content, like and subscribe. And subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.